Success needs support, and just lean in on that, what it means to you, but also the personalized story. So take it from here.
What success needs support means to me is you need great mentors, you need great coaches, you need to surround yourself with amazing people that really are genuinely interested in pushing you and helping you achieve your goals. I believe that many people miss the mark on this. What we're surrounded with typically with our family, friends, and just society, there's this general like force of average, as Ryan Stewman puts it. We could even mention that. I use it all the time. That's his sort of phrase about it. The force of average wants to pull you into this average way of thinking, average way of living. And so we have to be really, really intentional about picking our coaches, mentors, and people that we support ourselves with. And something I really want to put in the book is the thought and experience that I've had with, the most surreal moments in my life is when I've really looked around a room and been like, wow, like I really curated these relationships. I put myself here. This stuff doesn't just fall in your lap, right? It's networking, bringing your best self to the table and be willing to pour into those relationships, and also be, sort of living, breathing example of what's possible as well. So a key story with this, I was standing outside of Cardone Ventures. I don't think we have to take their name out. I'm a current client of theirs, and I think
no, if it's good, you leave it in. If it's bad, you don't put it in. Yeah.
Oh, it's been an amazing experience. So standing outside of Cardone Ventures in Miami, and Tim and I, my husband and I, we were considering making the hands down the biggest investment we've ever made in our business. We didn't have just the cash laying around either. We had to creatively come up with this. It's $500,000 investment to have consultants come into our business, then come into their ecosystem and surround ourselves with people who were, living the exact life that we wanted, or want, not just personally, but professionally and financially. And those three words mean a lot to me: personal, professional, and financial. So being, super invested with people that have a genuine interest in pushing you and reaching those goals. So there I was in the parking lot, sweating, basically, shitting bricks. Is this absolutely crazy to do? Even if you did have millions of dollars sitting around, who's going to hand Cardone Ventures $500,000? But it's been the absolute best investment that I've made thus far. We truly, as cheesy as it sounds, 10x'd our business, as they say.
Wow.
And it's paid for itself,
But why did you decide to go with them, or even just to seek help in that arena? Because I think a lot of people, when let's just say they've done well, right? If you've established $500,000 worth of some type of resource, then why would you need more support? But like, what made you think of that?
So great question. When we were sitting in the event, which they call 10x 360 or business 360, something like 10x 360 is what it is. And you're really analyzing your business. And every time Brandon Dawson asked me a question, what were yesterday's KPIs? I don't fucking know. What did your sales team do last week? I don't know. So he had this process of just like disarming me as far as like what I don't know and what my focus wasn't on. And he does a great job at that. So the reason I pulled the trigger was because some shame came with this, actually, right? Because you don't want to totally expose yourself either. So it was this process of like really having to come to terms with, I don't know what I'm doing to get to the level where I need to go.
Great point, Sarah. Take note of that. There is a point, even when you are making money and doing well, that you realize that you don't know a lot about your business, of what's happening. And then for you to convey that to someone else who is sort of in a position of authority really puts you in the hot seat and makes you feel insecure. And that is very common. I guarantee this is something that most people deal with, right? Because there is a point where they sit in front of somebody and they are asked a question and they can't answer it about their business, and it makes them look really, really, really amateur, right?
Yep. And I had to come to terms with that during that event. And there was a moment there where there was like shame and fear, but then it also became really exciting after that, because it was like, okay, this gives, now I have help and support, and like, thank God I became aware of this now, instead of, trying to fumble through this for the next decade and still just be in the same spot where I'm at. So that's where, the chapter title came from. Success needs support. That's not from anybody that I know of. I really just use that phrase a lot. So then we started our journey with them, and we had, their consultants come into each area of our business, analyze the sales, finance, marketing, all of that. I'm trying to think what else I
Yeah.
could add.
Did it just give you extra eyeballs and you were ignoring things that were very important? You didn't realize how important they were. I just think that by having a mentor, a coach, or anybody who knows more than you, who has no emotional ties to the business, who's looking at it from a mere number standpoint, can
Mhm.
see things that you just can't see, right?
That's exactly it. And it was just very data driven, we're still working with them, actually. But yeah, so a business plan was created, right? A business plan that would actually set you up to sell the business if you want to, right? Just a very crystal clear business plan to get to each break point from, we were making 4 million a year at that time. Now, how do you get into the 7 million? They break it down into these break points, and how to grow and scale without moving too fast and certain areas of the business breaking down. This process also brought Tim and I together on the same page. You can shout out like Elena Cardone here, right? She says a lot about getting on the same page with your spouse. That could maybe be even a chapter of its own, I don't know. But there were a lot of arguments between Tim and I, working with your spouse. There can be some tension there. Anyways, it's definitely not the most, what do I always say? It's like the most unerotic thing ever. To work with your spouse.
Because you're not talking about anything that's attractive. Like, well, money in business is definitely attractive, but like not emotionally what I get you. Like you're supposed to be like really having these good conversations with your spouse, but sometimes it's business partner relationships, and that's very difficult to maybe cross that line sometimes, right?
Yes. But then when you can get on the same page, actually, then things get really sexy, right? Because then you're like, wow, this is actually the most strategic partnership I've curated in my life ever. Like, let's like value this. Like, Alex Hermosi, we don't want to use his, but he talks a lot about his wife. What's her name? I don't know.
Layla.
Layla, right? That their partnership is so strategic in business. And so I'm just very highly invested and interested in making sure my marriage does that as well. But you can't do that without mentors and a plan. So success needs support really brought all that together and made such a difference, even just in our home. So that was really cool. But we did have to this book is sort of about fear, right? But I did have to overcome fear when pulling the trigger, handing over this Amex, and just saying, you know what, I'm going all in on this thing, and being okay with that. They're just tremendous salespeople also, right? We know that. But tied into this business plan also was a leadership program, right? And I really felt like, okay, I'm not going to be able to implement this business plan without stretching myself as a leader as well. So I went through, and Brandon Dawson is trained by John Maxwell. It's very John Maxwell-y what I went through. So that's super cool. I'm not all the way through it. Let's see.
So if someone's out there reading this book, then and I mean, there's too many people out there, I guarantee, who are doing well, but they think they could still do it on their own. It's just amazing, the snowball effect, right? You probably had momentum before, but then you had a jetpack after you had some real support. So did you just start to notice money coming in? You were breaking through barriers, you were overcoming fear way faster. Like the people who do not abide by this lesson, what happens to them?
Well, worst case scenario, what I believe is they quit eventually, or burn out. People quit, they get burnt out, they don't make the money they want to make. They work too much in their business, not on their business. That about sums it up.
Yeah.
Probably a lot more.
Yeah, they stall out probably. They don't hit certain limits. They get very comfortable very fast, right? So it's almost like once you stop seeing all the carrots on the path, you stop searching, right? So you're like, "Oh, I'll stay right here because this is where I'm good." And I would assume that now that you've been rewarded by seeking out support, and you're able to see tremendous growth within your business and your relationships, now you almost see that as a sign of weakness. Those people who do not seek help, it's probably, oh my God, you're in your own way. You're hurting your own self by not doing that.
That's great. I would love to put that in there about, now that I've made an investment of that magnitude and been through this process, I do see it as a sign of weakness. When people are unwilling to do that, unwilling to seek help, might even say like the ego gets in the way a little bit with that. And their cultures inside their organization could potentially be crippled, because we might talk about this in another chapter, I don't know, but when you're not focused on personal, professional, financial goals and truly, reaching true targets, you're capping your team growth as well. When you're unwilling to get help. So if you're not willing to get help and stretch yourself, who else are you capping? And then how is that helping the world at all? So I believe that that's truly a ripple effect for sure.
Beautiful. And last question I have on this is that the relationship side, I mean, do you have people you look up to for coaches? I mean, when it comes to a relationship, I noticed that some of the most successful people in my network, they do hire marriage coaches, right? Even when there's no issue at all. Like, it's not, you have to find support when there's a problem. It's almost like preparing before there's a problem. So you probably, do you do that still right now?
You wouldn't even believe how many coaches. Yeah, so we could put that in there. So Tim and I literally have a coach in almost every area of our life. So
Beautiful.
health. So yeah, you start to realize you need support for success in almost every area of your life. So we have the health coach, we have the personal trainer, we have a marriage coach, we have ongoing support with these consultants in every area of the business. And yeah, so we look at it as this holistic health approach instead of waiting until something's gassed out and broken. Absolutely.
Because it's way, way, way harder to fix a broken car than to keep it maintained, right? That's the way I look at it. It's the same thing with a relationship, with a business, all that. Fix it before it breaks. Or
This
not fix it, maintain it before it breaks.
maintenance, just like you do a car. People go in with all these special tests, what 5-point inspections on cars. Well, where are we doing that in our business and in our bodies? This also
Beautiful.
opened the door for the realization of, now I want to get to the point of hiring leadership inside of my business and not being scared to invest in higher paid positions to carry out some of this. So knowing I can't do it alone. So it's not the most fun to run payroll. You could talk about this as a little fun. You don't love the payroll when you start hiring like multiple six-figure leadership style positions inside of your business, but you can't implement all of these strategies alone either. We have a high focus on people and their goals that will help us run toward the targets faster, because they have really clear goals and they know what our targets are because of this. They really eat, sleep, and breathe the business targets because we got so clear on what they are as well. And they know what their payout is when we meet those targets. Brandon Dawson has grown businesses and sold them. And those same leaders sold the business with them and said, hey, let's do it again. Build the business, sell it for $150 million. Let's do it again. And that's the sort of like commitment, or that's the sort of loyalty that I'm looking for when I build out leadership culture inside our company. So he's just been an amazing person to mirror. Yeah.
And then I would assume that more than anything else, you have borrowed belief. You start to speak like the ones who are way above you. You start to act. You start to have this belief that you can make things happen. And you probably have a vision. It's borrowed vision. It's awesome.
So much of his vision and beliefs have been infused into myself, my business, my people, and clients. Yeah.